Hello, gamers and video game lovers. Video game welcome to a special documentary that will take you on an exciting journey through the history of gaming. From the earliest simple games to today's advanced consoles and even the future of gaming. Stay with us to see how a billion-dollar industry started with just a few pixels and reached its current position. Where did video games begin? In the 1950s and 60s, the world had not yet heard of video games. Computers were only used for scientific and military calculations at the time. However, a few creative scientists decided to bring entertainment to these giant machines. The first real video game, Tennis for Two, 1958. The first true example of video games was created in 1958 by a physicist named William Higginbotham. It was a very simple game where two players could use an oscilloscope to hit a ball back and forth. It may seem very primitive now, but it was a significant start for the gaming industry. Atari and the first commercial game, Pong, 1972. The first officially released commercial game was Pong. It was a simple ping-pong simulation created by Nolan Bushnell and Atari in 1972. The game was placed in arcade machines and quickly became a massive hit. It was so popular that long lines formed at gaming centers. The 70s and 80s, the rise of arcades and gaming culture, with the success of Pong, arcade games grew rapidly. Now, people could play by simply inserting a coin into a machine. Games like Space Invaders, 1978, and Pac-Man, 1980, not only revolutionized gaming, but also helped shape gaming culture. Atari 2600, the beginning of home consoles. Up until then, people had to go to arcades to play, but with the release of the Atari 2600 in 1977, games made their way into homes. Now, anyone could experience games like Space Invaders right in the comfort of their own home. The video game crash, 1983, with the influx of poor quality games, people's trust in gaming decreased. A famous example of this disaster was the game E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which was so bad that millions of copies went unsold and were buried. This event brought the gaming industry to the brink of collapse. Nintendo and the powerful comeback of the gaming industry. In 1985, Nintendo came in with the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, and changed everything. Games like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda set new standards in game development and made people fall in love with gaming all over again. Console Wars, Nintendo vs. Sega. With the success of the NES, Sega entered the competition and released the Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive, in 1988. Sega gained massive popularity with its character Sonic, while Nintendo remained the hero with Mario. This console war continued for years, driving the constant advancement of gaming. Mortal Kombat and legal controversies. The game that changed the gaming industry. Small Blue Diamond: The Rise of Mortal Kombat, 1992. Mortal Kombat was released in 1992 by Midway Games and quickly became one of the most popular and controversial games in history. It gained fame for its digitized graphics and brutal combat, allowing players to perform fatalities, gruesome finishing moves that brutally destroyed opponents. This feature made Mortal Kombat a cultural phenomenon in the 90s gaming world. Legal issues and violence concerns. Due to the excessive violence and graphic imagery in Mortal Kombat, the game quickly caught the attention of legal circles and politicians. In the United States, in particular, some groups and social activists argued that such games could negatively impact teenagers' behavior and mindset. The controversy grew so intense that in 1993, the U.S. Congress held a hearing to examine the effects of violent video games on young people's behavior. The creation of the ESRB system. One of the outcomes of this controversy was the establishment of the Entertainment Software Rating Board, ESRB. This system was designed to rate games based on their content and violence, allowing parents to decide whether a game was suitable for their child. Mortal Kombat is recognized as one of the key games that led to the creation of this rating system. Cultural and commercial impact. Despite legal issues, Mortal Kombat became a massive commercial success. Its sequels continue to be released to this day, and it has even inspired movies and TV series. The game has had a significant impact on gaming culture and remains one of the most popular franchises ever. The rise of 3D gaming, a new era of consoles, Small Blue Diamond in the 1990s, and the birth of 3D graphics. Until the early 1990s, most games were 2D, but as technology advanced, the gaming industry shifted toward 3D graphics. This transformation was one of the biggest changes in gaming history. Games became more realistic, environments grew larger, and the overall gaming experience became much richer. PlayStation, 1994, Sony enters the competition. During the 1990s, Nintendo and Sega were locked in fierce competition, but in 1994, a new giant entered the scene, Sony PlayStation. This console, which used CDs instead of cartridges, quickly became the best-selling console of its time. Games like Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, and Resident Evil helped make it incredibly popular. Nintendo 64 and the evolution of gameplay. Nintendo entered the competition with the Nintendo 64, 1996, taking 3D gaming to a whole new level. Games like Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time demonstrated how 3D gameplay could be truly revolutionary. Sega's downfall. Sega Saturn and Dreamcast. After the success of the Genesis, Sega tried to regain its dominance with the Sega Saturn and later the Dreamcast. However, due to poor marketing strategies and Sony's strong entry, Sega failed and eventually exited the console market. PlayStation 2, 2000, the best-selling console in history. In 2000, Sony launched the PlayStation 2, bringing another revolution to gaming. With legendary titles like GTA, San Andreas, God of War, and Shadow of the Colossus, the console sold over 155 million units, making it the best-selling console of all time. Microsoft's entry with Xbox, 2001, Microsoft saw the power of the gaming market and decided to enter the competition with the Xbox. The game Halo: Combat Evolved became the symbol of this console, turning Microsoft into one of the biggest players in the gaming industry. Next-gen consoles, the era of online and HD, small Blue Diamond PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, 2005 to 2006, with the introduction of Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, HD graphics entered the gaming world. This generation witnessed masterpieces like The Last of Us, Red Dead Redemption, and Gears of War. Online games also became extremely popular in this era, revolutionizing the multiplayer experience. Nintendo Wii, 2006, a revolution in game controls. Nintendo took a different path with the introduction of the Wii. The motion-controlled Wii made gaming accessible to everyone, and with over 101 million units sold, it surpassed both the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, 2013, with the arrival of the 8th generation, 4K graphics, digital games, and online game streaming reached a new level. PlayStation 4 had the best sales of the generation with God of War, Uncharted 4, and Bloodborne. Nintendo Switch, 2017, a combination of home and handheld console. Nintendo brought another major innovation with the release of the Switch, a console that could be connected to the TV as well as used portably. This console achieved great success with games like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Animal Crossing. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, 2020, with the arrival of the 9th generation, ray tracing graphics, SSD speed, and advanced virtual reality, VR, capabilities became more powerful than ever. Games like Demon's Souls Remake and Forza Horizon 5 showcased the power of this generation. Services like Xbox Game Pass, GeForce Now, and Google Stadia showed that the future of gaming might be console-free. With just a strong internet connection, heavy games can be played on any device. Virtual and augmented reality, the future of gaming, technologies like VR, virtual reality, and AR, augmented reality, are advancing rapidly. Games like Half-Life, Alyx have shown how these technologies can transform the gaming experience. Artificial intelligence and the future of games. With the advancement of artificial intelligence, games are becoming more dynamic. NPCs, non-playable characters, can have more natural behaviors, stories can change in real time, and players can even converse with AI. Where is the future of gaming? The gaming industry started with a simple game like Pong and has now transformed into a vast world with stunning graphics, deep stories, and advanced technologies. But this is just the beginning. In the future, we might not even need a console and could enter a completely digital world with just a headset. Perhaps all these games and the imaginary worlds we create are just a prelude to something bigger. Maybe we ourselves are currently inside a video game, in a world designed by artificial intelligence and codes. And perhaps in the future, Just as we enter the worlds of the games we've created, there will come a day when we travel to the world inside our own games. Now it's your turn. What do you think? How will the future of gaming be? What changes would you like to see? Share your thoughts in the comments.